So because I have a few extra minutes with you, I have a bunch of questions. Also, because I'm a big fan. I'm curious, when did you feel like you made it as an actor that you could just act for a living and not have to do like a side job?
Boy, was I wondering about that when I was younger. It was a glorious day when it happened. I'm trying to get you a time frame. It was somewhere around the time when I was working with Marty Scorsese and did Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I think it was somewhere in that area and that I felt I'm going to get work and I'll be able to make a living.
One of the things that I think is very unique about you is that you studied, and I could be wrong, but I believe you studied under Lee Strasberg and Stella Adler. Yes. And so I'm curious, could you sort of talk about, because these are iconic towers of acting, of people that are so they're huge names. What can you share what it was like working under both of them? How were they the same? How were they different?
This is really a question for an interview that we have to have that will take hours, really, really, really. I'll try and give you some kind of brief summation because I would be doing an injustice if I left it just with Lee Strasberg and Stella Adler. There was Frank Corsaro. There was Elizabeth Kemp. There was the guru, Sandra Seacat. There was Michael Kahn. There was Anthony Menino. There were a number of people that I was so lucky to meet when I came over the Brooklyn Bridge into Manhattan. I met the greats of the acting, of the theater, of the legitimate theater. So to answer your question, as it relates only to Lee and Stella, I just thought of something. I can answer it in this way, in a fun way. She hated Lee Strasberg. And I think it was mutually received, mutually felt. I think I can say that, yeah. I hope people don't take issue with that because they were at odds with each other about how to teach the Stanislavski method. I'm sorry, I left out Frank Corsaro, who was a major, major teacher I worked with. He's passed away now.
First of all, yeah, believe me, I'm sure that this talking about them could take hours and hours. It's such a, but I mean, anyway, moving on to the next thing. You worked with, jumping into Lansky, people love telling the story about Meyer Lansky, Luciano, Bugsy, like all these characters. People love to hear stories about these people. What do you think it is that people respond to that they want to always see stories involving those three people?
I think in a way, because they were such dynamic people, they made such an impact on America in many, many ways. But in the same token, I feel people try to escape from themselves by talking about them as these iconic figures. They were people like you and I. And we come to the theater, we the filmmakers, playwrights, et cetera, to realize ourselves, to understand ourselves better, to find our place in the world. And I don't make mob movies. I try to make movies about people who are in conflict, problem-solving people with aspirations, desires, energies they have to get out, express creatively, and all too often not creatively, but in bad ways. And that's what our theater is about. And that's what movie making is about. We come to the theater to realize ourselves. So why people want to hear about these stories, it excites them, I feel, in a way. It excites them. When I went to see movies as a young man, I was excited by seeing this and that, things I was afraid of, mobsters, tough guys. I was also frightened by people who cried. I thought something was wrong with them. I remember this one picture I saw with William Holden in it. He was a wonderful actor, really good, handsome guy. It was a movie with Lee J. Cobb. Anyway, to make a long story short, he was playing this gangster. And then he had a scene on a couch because he invaded this person's house, played by Lee J. Cobb, who was a psychiatrist. And he's like analyzing him there. And all of a sudden he starts crying and scared me. I said, how was this tough guy crying like that? Gives you an indication of where I was at that time
Sure.
of my life. And that's why theater was so important to me. And to approach these stories, these characters, these human beings in a way that would inform me about myself so I could grow as a human being.
What was it about Lansky, this project specifically, was about the script or the story that says, I want to do this?
I felt he wanted to be seen at the end of his days as a man who did the right thing. The stand he took against people that were doing evil. He did bad things. I guess you could even call them sometimes evil things. But when he collected his men to invade a Nazi gathering in America, where they were raising money to support the Nazi cause before World War II, that was an honorable thing to do. I saw what meant something to him. I saw he was a man that had values. He knew right from wrong, even about himself. And the very fact that he was interested in, as is written in the movie, I wish I'd killed them all. Having witnessed the Holocaust makes sense to me. I could wish the same thing. So he wanted to do the right thing.
Statistically speaking, if you are involved in the mafia or criminal underground, you have a short life. And, Meyer Lansky managed to live till he was 82 or 81, and it was lung cancer that actually got him. What do you think, and maybe you don't know, but what do you think it was that actually kept him alive and able to thrive?
I feel he was smart enough to know how to take care of himself. He was too valuable to kill. They killed his best friend, Ben Siegel. He was not as valuable as Meyer Lansky was.
I definitely want to know, before I run out of time with you, does it ever get old with people wanting to talk to you about Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction? Or do you sort of feel like these are movies that are going to stand the test of time? It's great that people love them so much.
Never. Quentin is a young man of our time, for our times. What he did with Once Upon a Time in America, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. For me, part of that story about Sharon Tate is one of the most moving love stories, brilliant love stories I've ever seen in my life in cinema. Quentin did that. The same guy who did Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. He showed a side of himself that was so poetic that, it'll stand the test of time.
I agree with you. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is an amazing film that, even though people love it, I don't think I think as years go on, people will love it even more. It is a phenomenal film.
Like I say, that love story he wrote between him and Sharon Tate and that event, I think is incredible. No one's done something like that I've ever witnessed. Maybe some poets have. Other than that, I haven't seen it.
Did you ever think about directing in your life, or early in your career when you worked with Scorsese and saw what he did? Were you like, yeah, I can't do that?
Ridley Scott offered me to direct one time. We had made The Duelist, his first movie, and he said, Harvey, do you want to direct sometime? I said, I don't know enough to direct. He said to me, don't worry about that. I'll get you a cameraman and you'll be able to do it. I said, thank you, but I just don't have the knowledge to do that. And that was a long time ago. And I wish I had the time to learn about being a director, because it would have given me more freedom to do the things I want to do. But I didn't have that time. I was trying to stay alive in my own way.
I completely understand. Well, listen, congrats on this. And as I said before, man, it's a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you so much for giving me your time. And I wish you nothing but the best.
I enjoyed you. Thank you.